Malcolm Jamal Warner was born on August 18, 1970, in Jersey City, New Jersey, making him a Leo sun. Leo suns are known to be full of life, fun-loving, creative, confident, and generous. Malcolm has often been described as being truly kind. His Leo sun was at 24 degrees, which is a pretty late degree, so he truly embodied being a Leo. It wasn't a new energy he was working with. He truly shined like the sun, like a Leo often does. His moon sign was in Pisces. If your sun sign is who you are, an expression of your soul, then your moon sign is how you feel on the inside. So Malcolm's moon was in Pisces, making him a very spiritual, sensitive, and intuitive person, which makes for a very creative individual. So with this combo, Malcolm was always going to be a creative. As Leo is ruled by the sun, which is an ego-driven creative sign, and Pisces rules imagination. Even more indication of his innate creativity is his Virgo Mercury. Virgos have grand ideas and are very thoughtful individuals. And to have this sign in the part of the personality that rules the way you communicate makes a person communicate very dramatic thoughts in a very practical manner. There is a class to the way a Virgo Mercury speaks that other signs don't have. They are excellent speakers, although not very emotional. You won't hear them going on rants and tirades, for example, as this is not how they often express themselves. They approach things very logical, so they don't really speak with their emotions shining through, as they don't find this useful, and they're all about efficiency. So Malcolm would have been a very majestic speaker, very classy. He was a spoken word poet as well as an actor, and if you listen to his performances, you'd find this to be true. His charisma is that of someone who expresses only after thinking of something extensively. He appears level-headed and unemotional. Malcolm's Venus sign was in Libra. Venus is exalted in Libra, as this is the highest manifestation of expression for Venus. Libra Venuses are excellent lovers. They are kind and considerate and are really adept at maintaining relationships in their lives, as they are fair and value harmony and respect in relationships. They are agreeable without being pushovers, and they are good at compromise. Libra is also a sign that values beauty, so they are better lovers when they are surrounding themselves in beauty. Making a very beautiful home, for instance, will be a priority, and having a beautiful and loving, easy romantic relationship is a high priority as well. He was likely very charming in his relations with others. Malcolm's Mars sign was in Leo. Leos are very confident individuals, and Mars is our approach to our goals and desires. Malcolm was not afraid to go after what he wanted, and likely was very vocal about what he wanted for himself, as Leo energy is not shy, but actually very proud. I really admire Leo Mars people because they don't have the hang-ups that other people have when it comes to going after their dreams. It's a very proud and regal energy. It's like, yeah, I want it, and I know I'm the best person to have it. They just don't have that fear. But his rising sign, aka his ascendant, was in Cancer. Your rising sign reflects how you view the world, your impression of the world around you, and therefore the vibe you give off to people who don't know you, because what you believe about the world will reflect in the energy you put out. A Cancer ascendant might see the world as home. They may appreciate being comfortable wherever they are, and they may be seen as warm and nurturing because they view the world this way. Cancer is also ruled by the moon, and therefore Cancer rising signs often have full moon-shaped faces, and Malcolm was no exception. He had a round and very full-looking face, kind and gentle eyes, and a warm disposition. Speaking of which, his midheaven was in Pisces. Your midheaven sign is the energy of your reputation, and to have a Pisces midheaven, Malcolm was known amongst his peers to be a sensitive and warm person, someone creative and empathic and emotionally empowering. This seems true as all of his peers who showered him with love post-transition on social media spoke highly of the warmth of his nature and how amazing he was creatively, as he had his hand in different pots with spoken word poetry, music, and acting. Interesting to note are his North Node and Chiron signs. If you have an Aries Chiron, you may have a healing path set to personal empowerment and assertion. Chiron is your wound, spiritual and psychological wound. And in the sign of Aries, which is a very fiery and assertive sign, the personal power gained from properly integrated life experience is a reflection of a healing of Chiron. Malcolm's mother spoke recently about feeling he fulfilled his mission. It certainly seems that way, considering Malcolm seemed like such a confident and self-assured man. His North Node was in Pisces. North Node is life path, and for a life path reflected by what Pisces represents, Malcolm was drawn to a journey that made him rely on his intuition and made him more empathic. This was the growth he felt his soul needed, and him choosing, very young I might add, as he was a child actor, to go into the arts as a career choice is very indicative of the strength of his spirit. He clearly was following those soul nudges early and didn't have a detour period on his path, which might explain why he had to leave us so early. He fulfilled his mission on time. Now, in your birth chart, you have 12 houses that each reflect different areas of your life. Your first house is the same as your rising sign. Malcolm's first house contained no planets, but his second house that reflects our self-worth and therefore how we attract abundance to our lives is in the sign of Leo and contained the planet Mars. What this means is he gained his money through creative means, where his ego could be properly adored, as reflected by Leo, and also his self-confidence is that of a Leo, very confident, self-assured, healthy ego. And so this is a positive placement to have in your second house. He also had Mars here, which is a very assertive planet. Wherever you have Mars is a life area where you put a lot of energy into and you have an urgency to master. If you can recall, his Mars is in Leo as well, so this is a double whammy. He was going to shine bright in any outlet he chose to make money through, and it explains why being in the spotlight was so fulfilling to him. He had a lot of Leo energy. His third house, which is the area of our life that reflects our communication with others, is in the sign Leo as well and contains the sun. This explains why he was such a great speaker and why he was so good in different expressive professions. He had a natural charisma that oozed out with that Leo placement, and with the sun here, he easily expressed from his true nature, meaning he didn't hide himself. He expressed through multiple outlets in life, as we said before, with being a poet, an actor, and a musician. So he shared a lot of himself and had no problem doing so. This reflects a person with a very healthy ego. Now his fourth house is his most active house. He has a lot of planets here. First of all, it's in the sign Virgo. Your fourth house represents the area of your life that is your home life and family upbringing. So a Virgo placement here means his household growing up or his more dominant parent had a lot of Virgo energy. It is actually a fact that his mother was a business partner and did manage his career. So she was likely someone very meticulous and very smart and kept him maintained and disciplined. So he had that kind of childhood. He also had Mercury, Venus, Uranus, and Pluto here. Mercury is obviously communication, so he was likely seen as very intelligent growing up. Education was likely valued in his upbringing, and the relationship with his parents would have been marked by a lot of communication and language. Also valued was community and relationships, as reflected by Venus. The way he approached relationships was forged in his childhood, and he learned to be caring and understanding with that Libra Venus. So this is a very special childhood, a very loving household. With Uranus here, it could just reflect that his childhood was very unique, and there was a lot of movement, as this is what Uranus always represents, which would make sense for Malcolm's life because he was a child actor, and this is not a usual thing for children, and there would have been a lot of moving around, obviously, as an actor. Pluto is also here, and Pluto's influence cannot be overstated. It's the most powerful and intense planet energy you'll see in astrology, and to have it in the family life area means that he may have had the urge to confront any family trauma with an urgency. So he could have been someone who broke generational curses in his family or marked a change in the paradigm of his family. Either way, transformation was of the utmost importance in his family life, and perhaps as an adult with his own child, he made sure things were better for them. His fifth house was in the sign of Libra and contained Jupiter and Neptune. A Libra fifth house makes someone really enjoy being with people. Your fifth house is how you express fun in your life, what you like to do for fun, and how you are with kids and creatively. So a Libra here would value being with people for a good time, perhaps enjoying collaboration and socializing. Based on other things in his chart, I would say Malcolm was likely an extrovert, Jupiter means he was very benevolent and generous, and this is what Jupiter represents. So he was probably philanthropic, like most people who devote themselves to the arts, and he found a lot of luck in just doing what he loved to do. Neptune here would make him empathic with others and in his creative projects, as Neptune is all about illusions and sensitivity. So we know from other parts of his chart that he was certainly a naturally creative person. So based on this house, acting was something that he did just because he genuinely loved it. It brought him joy to express himself in that way. The sixth house represents the work area of our lives. Not our careers themselves, but the work we do on a day-to-day to maintain our work-life balance. And he had his in the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarian energy is all about freedom and learning. So we know he was a creative individual, and so him living his life with a certain freedom was probably fundamental for his fulfillment. His seventh house of long-term committed relationships was in the sign Capricorn. So obviously it just means when he was committed to someone, whether through business or love, he often found himself in relationships that were a benefit to his career. He cared that on a certain level, the relationship would provide benefit to his career and that the relationship were with practical earth sign people, because that stability is what he was comfortable with. An overly emotional type of woman was likely not his type, perhaps because he was a more sensitive person and opposites do attract.
And it's just like, this is it. And we have, I've never second guessed it. We've been together almost 10 years, and we have never had a fight, an argument, a raised voice, or a harsh word said to one another.
In 10 years?
And it's not like we agree on everything.
Right.
She's Black and Puerto Rican, so it's not like she's incapable of the smoke.
She's quite capable of the smoke and spice.
I've
Absolutely.
seen her with her family.
Yes.
Like, yeah, the smoke is there, the spice is there, but we're just, I think because we met later in life, we've just always been at a point where we have a way of communicating like adults.
The eighth house represents the start of the more external parts of our lives. So it represents what occurs internally when we are about to spurn a change in our lives. He has this house in the sign Aquarius, and this means he was a forward-thinking person, likely wasn't very nostalgic, and liked to move forward and touch new ground creatively. What most interested him was likely what was about to come next. His ninth house was in the sign Aquarius as well, and contained the moon and his north node. Your ninth house is your life philosophy. It's your beliefs and how you travel in your mind and physically in order to deal with life. And in the sign Aquarius, he was, as I said, a forward-thinking person. Perhaps keeping his eyes straight ahead helped him with life's struggles, and he likely wasn't a dweller. Moon here means he was very spiritual and prayed and focused on spirituality and faith. This was his shining light in dealing with life. He was emotionally connected to his faith. North Node here means his life lessons were tied to his spiritual journey. His North Node was in Pisces, as I said before, and that dealt with themes of creativity and spirituality, and so him keeping and maintaining his faith was the way he stayed on his path of trusting his intuition, and therefore fulfilling the mission of being a more love-expressive person, which is a true Pisces energy. His 10th house, of course, is the same as midheaven, so it was in Pisces and contained Chiron. Wherever your Chiron is in your houses is where you find the most healing for your Chiron placement. If you can recall, his Chiron was in Aries, so his career was marked by creative expression with that Pisces, and he healed any issues around assertion and confidence through his career. His 11th house of community and friendship was also in the sign Aries and contained Saturn. So Saturn is the most serious, disciplined planet, and Aries is the most passion-filled sign. So this means he probably liked to surround himself with passionate people who had a lot of confidence and spice, and he was someone who didn't easily let people in his life. So although he was social, he had a degree of privacy. He often entrusted only a select few people in his inner circle, and he was selective. So Saturn is so disciplined. And therefore his friendships were probably long-lasting ones as they stood the test of time and beat several tests of trust for Malcolm. This could also mean he liked to be a mentor in his community, as Saturn represents the stern teacher. Some fun aspects of his personality include Saturn sextile at midheaven, which is a harmonious connection between how he disciplined himself and his career. So he was a focused man, probably from young, and confidently took the practical approach to his career to ensure success. He also had Mercury trine Saturn, which is harmonious and made him a serious practical speaker, as I said before, and someone who was disciplined and concise in speech. Interestingly, he also has Sun square Saturn, which is a disharmony in the personality, where there's a need for structure and also a need for freedom of expression. This will make sense because he was such a naturally creative person, but had this practicality and discipline about his expression as well. So there was definitely some inner work that was done there to balance that. Other aspects like Chiron square ascendant, Sun square Neptune, and Uranus opposition Chiron reflect an inner worry about not appearing how one truly is. Someone who's more sensitive and having a little issue with not wanting to appear that way. At least when young, this may have been an issue for him, which falls in line with the other things we explored in his chart.
The distancing for me is probably not wanting to see how much of Malcolm is in Theo, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because I remember doing the show and like I always felt like Theo was corny and I want Theo to be cooler. And
one of his really good aspects was Jupiter trine North Node, giving him benevolent nudge to his life path. As I said, he was someone who seemed to never stray, as he knew what he wanted and what his purpose was from a young age. And this is likely the Jupiter trine North Node influence. He had a lot of luck along the way in terms of opportunities for growth on his path. Mercury conjunct Pluto made him an excelled communicator and someone who people really believed, so a very concise and profound speaker, as we said before. Venus conjunct Uranus emphasized what we said earlier as well about his need for freedom and his extroverted nature, as this aspect made him someone who loved that varied aspect in his relationships and creative impulses. So this wraps up the video for Malcolm Jamal Warner. His death recently really did hurt me, as I'm a big Cosby Show fan, and I've always been so proud of Malcolm Jamal Warner and the work he was still doing. But I do feel like we are right to grieve him, because based on his chart, we're grieving such a beautiful, artistic, sensitive individual, and he truly made an indelible impact on the arts and the culture. So he will forever be missed as well as cherished. For your own birth chart or synergy chart readings, book with me, the link below, and to shop my spiritual clothing store, do so at the link below as well. As always, thanks for watching and happy Leo season. Tune in for a special video next week. Subscribe, like, and peace.
I will be able to leave this earth, knowing and people knowing that I was a good person. And I talked to my dad, I talked to him yesterday, and what he said to me often, people love you and people are always talking about, your career and your success and all of that. He said, but what really makes me the most proud is that you are a good person. And I had it from my dad. It's like,
That's wonderful.
But I'm a good person because my dad's a good person. That's a whole nother thing.
Can I get a quick Polaroid here?
Sure. Polaroid.
Have you signed this for me also?